Greetings, everyone. This is Joanna from Heavenly Radiance and Universal Love Light. And thank you so much for joining us another gorgeous day. Thank you, Holy Mother, Father, and Source Creator Spirit, the energies of all that is. Today we wanted to talk about healing with our heavenly messages and the Sacred Corner. We're going to be doing as many videos as we can. I've been urged to and inspired to bring forward how I've managed to heal all of the multidimensional bodies, which is so important and so key right now to our human collective health, the health of our families, the health and wellness of who we are as beings. As we're all awakening, we're finding that to rebalance and to ground and anchor in the new energies is a constant moment for moment experience. So to know that there are processes that allow you to awaken into more fully of what you are as light, as the heavenly body that you are, and to understand the process of what happens in the healing and the releasing of density, Akashic triggers, Akashic soul fragments that we're calling in to be healed. And all of these healing experiences can be defined in an infinite number of ways. And I probably will write a book on the healing process of ascension. Because it's how we allow ourselves to recenter in this now moment, to realign into a 5D loop. That 5D loop is included within the infinity. The infinity is what we're harmonizing from, centering in this now new moment, and then choosing a new frequency to co-create with, always with Source Creator, always with the benevolency of all that you are as a growing and expanding soul. However, what's really important is that this morning, I'm going through my experiences in my morning reflection and my self-care. I was just feeling this energy that felt angry and I rarely have those energies, for most of my life. I've really suppressed so much frustration and anger because when I was being brought up, it wasn't, you were scorned and you were, kind of meant to feel that the only emotions you're allowed to feel are the ones that are happy and silent, which doesn't leave a kid a lot of, it doesn't leave a kid a lot of options. When they're moving through, dysfunction and trauma and all those other things, especially as an empath. And so, but these angers were coming from other lifetimes, and it's embedded in the psyche field, the template that we come to heal. And this often happens. I never know what is coming up when I'm going through an Akashic healing, because I can sense the timelines and I can feel into them. But I kind of get a feeling for it a few days before because of the energies, and they're preparing me to deal with the energies of death or destruction, or whatever those heavy energies are that we all have to face and deal with. And how do we do it? Because we're all dealing and healing them in our timelines. It doesn't matter whether it's this one or other timelines. And obviously, because of what we're handling as a collective, we're all moving through such traumas and energies. And we have to be able to allow the emotional body, we have to allow the physical and the etheric bodies to handle these things and clear them as daily as we can. That allows our bodies to move forward in a beautiful and harmonic way, as high as possible frequencies, so that we're maintaining the ascension frequencies with Earth. The faster and the quicker that we release these, not as it's meant to be speed, if you will, but I mean that in the way that our ascension for the collective is accelerating. And so that it will allow us to be truly masters in releasing, healing, and letting go, so that we realign to center and create something new. And so, not that there is any judgment or there's any guideline about how fast anyone moves through their process, because there isn't. I only meant in the way that the programs and the platform for ascension are that we will continue to accelerate, which means that as things come up emotionally, physically, etherically, and mentally, we need to deal with it there and then and release it and allow that healing to occur using Gaia, using all that we're blessed with, as the beautiful human and Gaia collective that we can, having her assist us in those healings, which would expedite the healing process for the cells and the body and the sensory systems and all that we are as elements of Gaia. But this morning, in my clearing, I felt these energies. I open and clear my chakras, and I call in the holy light, and I call in the Christic light to open, and I ask my teams to help recalibrate my chakras, clearing and calling forward any densities. And this one energy timeline came forward with great challenge in it, and great trauma, great death. And I felt that, I felt the energies of those angers and those frustrations of what had occurred to me, that what was being projected on me through those acts and through those destructive energies. And so it allowed for that timeline to be cleared, to release that anger, even though in this lifetime I had not connected it with anything. But what that anger was connected to was the underlying anger and the underlying frustration and confusion that we're feeling as a collective for why certain things happen as the way that they do, and how they can trigger us into greater healing, into greater openness to feeling our own compassion. Because it's truly how we feel, is to give ourselves that love and that compassion, is as those energies are being cleared back to source, into pure white light, that they're no longer going to hinder and pull us back into limitation programs, into fear programs, that it's been released from the chakras, it's been released from the entire all that you are as the soul. That soul fragment gets brought in. And as I've showed you in many of our videos, is just to hold yourself at the sacral and the root area, and just feel as if you're giving your entire chakra system, your wholeness, a hug, just holding yourself within like this beautiful warm wrapped blanket of comfort that is, you know, the embodiment of Mother, Father, Source, Creator, and just holding you in this unconditional love blanket of purity of who you are in this now moment, to replace those energies that have just been transmuted through pure unconditional love. And just reciting, you know, the 3 affirmations that I use is that I'm unconditionally loved, I am healed, and I am whole. And that those affirmations call in those soul fragments to know that you're whole, and just to allow yourself to release through the tears and to release through the crying, and just say, I release all anger now, I release all energies now that no longer serve me in this new timeline of expansive unconditional love. And so using those affirmations to because what you're doing is you're using all that you are as this manager tool of all that you are. And so you're as you get used to opening up to these multidimensional bodies and systems, you're directing yourself into new, open, expansive, you know, experiences. But to know that your feelings and your emotions are connected to the collective, they're connected to what's happening on the collective, and at some level you're also healing other timelines. So to allow those energies and emotions to come forward in a benevolent way that will serve you and all others. And so as you awaken to the higher frequencies in your subtle fields, it will be really important that we use the grounding practices, and we use exercise or the release, especially from the lower chakras where all of these traumas are held, you know, fear of death and fear of persecution, all of these energies that are held within the lower 3 chakras, because that's our safety, that's our relationship issues, that's who we are as a collective. And to choose the positive affirmation as we direct it back to the source, to be reunited into pure white light, as opposed to just saying, I'm so angry, and sending it back to the earth, because that's just putting out anger. So it's really good to, you know, to say, I release this anger back to source to be transmuted to pure white love. And I release these energies from my body now. You can just say these energies, you know, and so it's really important to allow yourself the highest positive vibration in your transmutational work, because every moment we're harmonizing into higher frequencies. And why I'm bringing this forward is because I've heard so many wonderful, beautiful ascension videos that are out there and offerings that are out there. But one thing that we've taught for quite some time is because I've noticed and I've recognized it in my own energy work, because I sense all subtle energies and how the subtle energies co-create. They can create a timeline and an experience that is beneficial to you or not beneficial to you. It's either or. You know, again, we neutralize it, but it can be positive or negative. So being aware of how you approach all energies is really, really important, especially from here on out, because as things unfold, our initial egoic reaction would be to step into those 3rd dimensional vibrational energies, which is fear, subjugation, anger, resentment, all of these things that keep us in those lower vibrations, and judgment, you know, because there will be things that will be quite appalling for us to suss out and sort out. But what's really important is that we allow our bodies and our feelings and our emotions to be neutralized as we're breathing in the information and processing it. Calling in your higher self and your soul. Grounding the pure white light. You're with Mother, Father, Source. You're with Source Creator. You're with the highest heavenly beings, to allow you to process these energies and these informations in the highest responsible way for your soul's plan. Not to react from what a blog post was, not to react from the fear and the energies that are out there, because they are. It's just how we're processing what we're moving through, and there's no judgment on it. But it really is important, and I'm bringing this forward because they are very important, teachable energy realities. And if we're not aware of it and we're not understanding it, then we can co-create in ways that really don't serve anybody at all, and they actually perpetuate anger and fear and destruction. And there's nothing to be that's not fearful or anything. It's just owning your power. That's the true bliss of where we're going. We've always had this co-creative power as source creators, but we've given it away. So when we actually step into our power, it feels kind of, oh, wow, am I ready for that kind of power? Yeah, you are. Because it's always been you. You've always been this beautiful, powerful being. And to be sovereign in this power and to be the God that you are is why we're here. We're here to step into our godlyhood. We're here to step into our Christhood. We're here to say that that energy doesn't belong to me anymore. It really served me and I appreciate and honor it. Now I choose this. And those subtle energies, because I can feel them when they're being co-created and I can sense what's going on in the peripheral. And these are the most of the energies that many cannot sense or suss out yet, because they haven't turned their bodies have not been activated yet, turned on, or the chakra systems and the subtle gifts that they can use are not activated yet, because they're still working through those frequencies of healing. When they're newly awakened, those don't necessarily get turned on, and it gets quite confusing to figure out what the heck is going on. How did I manifest this? We're manifesting consciously and subconsciously. So the more consciously aware you are of what you're creating, that's when you're in that source element, your mindfulness. I'm creating from this mindful spot. But you can still co-create from those subtle energies, even though you're awake and aware. So it's really good to get to the heart of your emotions and your feelings and healing the multidimensional body, so that you're actually co-creating from that pure, integrous place of love. Especially when you're in small communities and families, because oftentimes we come with those that have been with us many, many lifetimes and are meant to be with us in our soul contract, so that they can allow us to climb up to our highest powerful self, which means that we're going to have the most challenge and the most honoring experiences to bring forward those gifts, bring forward those inner strengths, to bring forward that inner integrity, elements of who we are. And we often don't see that in the making, because we just think, well, why are you just not listening to me? Because not only are we moving into a 5D parental co-creative experience where everyone is the all and all is one, but we're also healing all that we're doing. And all those elements can co-create. And again, it's nothing to be fearful of or to be worried about. You can stand in this and you can own this power to say, wow, if I'm co-creating this, it means I have the power to transcend it. I have these gifts and skills. It's just another perspective I need to see it from, because that's universal law. And so I'll give you an example. If you're in a small family circle, if you will, and there's energies within the experiences where there's constant struggles, or not even struggles, but perspectives through which we are now opening our hearts to be. And this is the 5D perspective, and why it feels so awkward and different. We are to be unconditionally loving and allowing and accepting of all people's paths, while allowing our boundaries to be set. What's my truth today? How are my boundaries going to honor those boundaries and those truths, my values for who I am? As you're moving through these co-creations, those experiences still come at you, so that you can continually build each other up to a higher frequency. And that's only done through unconditional love, acceptance, and honor of one another, honoring the path of all. And so what has been, what's been seen and what's been experienced is that, the child telling them what to do, and they react and respond. But we're bringing all parties up to the same mastery level, which we are. We're honoring all paths, because without them, we're not us, and without us, they're not them. We're all one. We're all at the same level of mastery. And to honor and own everybody's path as unique and individual, and allowing them to move through their cycles, doing the best that we can as guardians, as guides, and offering our highest empowerment, our highest inspiration, and our highest encouragement for them to be all that they can as their Christhood. Not hindering them, telling them, directing them into the way we think, because then that's the ego driving the ship, not the spirit and soul, and taking really a lot of creative power away from them. And so it's, again, we're rewriting everything, and it's so beautiful and so exciting. But we're talking about how we create subtly, how we co-create within these small dynamics, and it will be felt and seen in every way, because now we're being forced to be within these small confines where we're actually seeing things and feeling things at a much greater level. Because of the entanglement and the quantum entanglement experience, we're all moving in and out of each other's emotional fields, mental fields, etheric fields, and physical fields. So if we're not aware of, okay, what is that trigger showing me? Why am I co-creating this experience? Those subtle experiences that we co-create are directly driven from old belief systems, old perspectives and fears. We can just say beliefs because it encapsulates everything. So if there's a lack of love, there's fear, judgment, subjugation, projection, anything that co-creates the experiences that you're swimming within. And if we're not truly aware, especially if you're empath and crystal, you're actually picking up on other people's fields, sometimes more than you're picking up on your own. And why it's so important to ground, center, and call in your light, call in your field, create those boundaries so that you know exactly who you are emotionally, mentally, physically, and etherically. And why this morning I had the experience that I did, because we're all moving at this accelerated heart threading space energetically. We're all being threaded through each other's hearts, especially when global events like this occur. We're feeling those experiences more dramatically than we ever have, especially in small communities. If you have children that are not, really up to speed on what's going on, you're also picking up their fears and their worries, and why it's so important that we gather, create those intimate conversations about emotions and feelings. What are you moving through? How can we express it? How can we go out and play and just get rid of those giblies? I call them the giblies. And just get rid of them so that you're transmuting them, in a positive and progressive way that serves the all. And that honors the all, because we're moving the 5D perspective that we can realign to every moment that we can is not separating ourselves from what doesn't feel right. It's allowing all aspects to be 100% oneness, which means that I honor you as God, but you are God. I respect you, I honor you, I love you unconditionally. It might not mean that I can agree with what you're doing or how you're behaving. And this is how I want my boundaries to be respected. How do you feel about that? And how can we work together to compromise? This is how we're doing it in the grander scale as well, the community and the collective. Rewriting all these systems, so that the all are respected. There will be no minority groups. Actually the minority groups, as I've said before, are actually the majority groups, because, those that are in control are the true minorities. Those the ones that have the most money are the true minorities. Anyways. And so what we were moving with is that those energies in your small circles co-create at a subtle level. So why it's really important, again, that we talk about self-care, self-nurture, and self-healing, realigning to positivity and love, self-love every day. As you awaken through your human awakening to 5D, you will be going through these major experiences through which your emotions and your bodies will be letting go of energies. And it won't make sense to you at the time, because in your now reality, you might not feel that depth of emotion is valid, or rational. But we have to understand that we're now swimming, the all is now. All timelines, all planets, all realms, all aspects of you is now. So if there was a traumatic lifetime that you've just called in an Akash, you won't necessarily feel it. You perhaps will, but I've been doing this for 15 years, just about 15 years. And I'm able to sense when I'm calling in a timeline and it's being healed, and I can sense the conversations with my teams on what's going on, and they'll tell me, you just cleared a really big timeline, just hold yourself. So those are the things, and it just doesn't make sense. You'll sense, well, this emotion doesn't make sense for what I'm going through right now. And that's when you know that it's connected to 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 other timelines, or you're also helping the collective heal. So just know that all of these energies are included, because you're the all. But to also honor it and respect it, and why we've always said, and what we're getting back to our point, we're starting back to the same point. When you're going through healing and you're creating as a multidimensional being, knowing that your subtle fields, the subtle energies, the subtle judgments, subtle behaviors, the subtle, comments that we say in our head, whatever, that all creates. And why it's always important, any moment, to release into the violet flame of pure white light, have it transmuted right away. Return to your heart and honor in the highest and the best. I honor you, I love you, I offer you the highest and the best. Regardless of what their soul path is, but you're allowing all that you are to be clear at the soul level. Because all thought fields are being amalgamated, all mental fields. But staying clear within you, you're allowing yourself to be continually as heightened as possible, so that you set the vibration for the home and lift them up as well. And this is why we walk as masters. This is why we walk as, the beings that we are, to co-create in this way, because we understand and we get it. So to be aware that, subtle judgments that you have about anybody in your circle co-creates, and you're co-creating those experiences. So to hold them in the Most High, to see them as God, to see them as the highest being that they are upon their path, and they are doing what they know what to do is for their soul's theme and their soul's experiences that they need. It's not for us to judge. It's not for us to direct and tell them what's right and wrong. It's up to us to love unconditionally and to allow them their soul's experience, while inspiring, encouraging, and empowering them, as Source does to us. never telling us what we have to do, but saying that, inspiration of who you are as source. We will empower you as source, and we will encourage you as source because you are. To see every aspect of co-creation as source, as God. Then you're allowing all aspects of that experience to be fifth dimensional, not third dimensional, based on judgments, beliefs, old experiences that you had with someone you're still angry about, you didn't let go. Those co-create. They co-create in the subtle realm, and I can see it and I can feel it. And they co-create what your future experience is going to be. So this is why we, the energies that we've offered, again, nothing to be fearful about, but just to say, I can really let go of that grudge. It's not working for me anymore, because we want to allow ourselves to be the unconditional loving source, because it will serve the soul. It will open up your heart chakra fully, your soul star chakra, your human heart chakra, all that you are as a divine human being, and you're honoring that unconditional love out to the all, and you're opening an unconditional compassion. That's how we co-create, not to be cutting people out or separating based on vibration and all that kind of stuff, because those are keeping those energies and those experiences and those subtle attitudes, those subtle behaviors, those subtle judgments create, whether it's in this realm or another realm, but we still have to clear it. So why not be unconditionally loving in every now moment, which is our challenge, because we've never been that. But now that we're faced with the energies that we are as a collective, we're now seeing how paramount and how much of a priority self-love is, and self-care for the bodies, understanding the multidimensional bodies on many levels. I mean, I'm only scratching the surface of what is available on a healing perspective, because love in every way helps the cell's growth, the sensory systems, and all that is. Love is that expansive consciousness, its source creator. And so in the videos that we're going to be creating will be healing videos to show you how I work with fields, and we're changing those discordant energies between those that we co-create with. So that at least you can offer your highest vibration to co-create in fields of fifth dimensional, as opposed to recreating what has been already. And why it's really, key for those, and why I'm going to bring in my second part of my story here. This morning when I was just opening up one of my social platforms, and I don't intentionally go and look at any of the virus news. I stay out of that, because I'm already feeling what's going on in the collective, and I'm already transmuting as much as I can. And it's purposeful for me to just continue to do my light work, and not tap into those energies that are sometimes perpetuating fear and drama. So it's really about being discerning about where you're putting your energy and your focus, because it does create on a subtle level and on the conscious level. Whenever an attitude or a judgment does come up, then to clear it right away and say, I love you unconditionally, you're source creator, and so am I. I allow this field to be brought to a higher consciousness of unconditional love and oneness. Simple little affirmations like that every time something comes, before a judgment comes up, stop your breath, stop time. And co-creating from the highest perspective. And slow time down, stop. Because it does co-create. Whatever level that you're oscillating at, it will co-create. And so, because it's just vibration, it's all about vibration. And choosing to release fear and worry and step into a joyful, and just go outside and dance and just be happy. Allow yourself that joy, because that allows you to step into those potentials that are all, there's a source creator, and love is everywhere. Love is in every moment, every particle, it's all source, and you can create from that. So this is the healing videos that we're going to create, and we're going to show you how to work with the source fields and how to change the discordant energies between those of you who co-create with. Offering up the highest potential violet flame and the white Christed light to smooth out and clear and cleanse any judgments, past, present, future, all timelines, all realms that we're co-creating in this now moment to heal. We're going through ascension so that in our awakened state, in our higher consciousness state, awakening is consciousness. It's what we are now aware of, who we all are, what we all exist within, or what exists within us. It's essentially that to be this is unconditionally loving. So that from that unconditionally loving state, we're healing the all, and we're allowing all timelines to be smoothed and wrapped and sewn into a one beautiful oscillating timeline that will be this fifth dimensional, based on all the other frequencies and the programs of light that are moving within this dynamic, undefinable, unimaginable experience, because we can't define it in our words. We just can't. It's a heavenly program. Our DNA, everything that we are, has been programmed to experience what we're experiencing and co-create in our highest potential, to become and be the highest version of us as source to bring heaven to earth as the bodies and vessels that we are. We are heaven upon earth. Every particle, all of us. So to be that, it's unconditionally loving, compassionate at all times, kind and caring, and to live as the angels do, because we are. And to do that, we're healing and we're releasing and we're mending all timelines. And some of them are not comfortable, and why you feel overwhelmed in emotion, because we're not only doing it for all those timelines that were traumatic and dramatic and tragic, also very beautiful too. You have those moments of complete ecstasy. That's when you're calling in those aspects of you that experience that ecstasy. So it's not always just the, but this is what humanity will be moving through, is these releases and these feelings. So we are preparing ourselves as light workers. How can we offer our assistance into all that we've been through for so many years to the highest and the best, so that we can understand that we co-created every level. Our bodies and our emotions and our mental field is so important. Self-healing and self-care is so important, along with other modalities of healing that you feel drawn to and inspired to through your teams and your higher self and soul. And surrender all that you are to your higher self and soul, and release the ego to be the observer, to stay in alignment with Source Creator in all moments that you can. I'm in alignment with Source Creator. I create miracles and majesty with Source right now. And open and all. I receive Source now. I receive my highest codes now. Those little affirmations help you readjust to your realignment, highest state. And to know that those really profound and overwhelming emotional energies can come from not just this lifetime, but many others. And that's when you just hold yourself and know that you're unconditionally loved. And you can just move your legs and put your feet gently into the ground with Gaia. Just say, I heal with you, Gaia. I heal with you, Gaia. I'm sending these energies back to Source to be transmuted. I release them now. I release them now. From my body, my cells, my soul. Anything that needs to be released to be transmuted, please work with me now in the highest order. And you can visualize yourself in a beautiful recalibration chamber, whatever it is that you're excited to, because we're working with color and sound and tone and the beings from on and off worlds, seen and unseen, cosmic fields. That's what you can start to pull in for these healings, and you can start feeling the recovery right away, like really instantly. And that's what happened to me this morning. I went through this really profound release that was quite intense, and for maybe 20 minutes, and then it was just boom. And then what I do right away is I call in my highest light. I visualize myself as the future that I want to see. The healer and the highest me version I've come to see, and I visualize myself and I see myself. I feel that vibration in my body, and I send it out. This is what I'm co-creating now. I've released it. I've healed those cells. I've healed those timelines. I'm coming in with my highest unconditional love, compassion to the all, love to the all, forgiveness to the all. And I create now. I create now. I create now. Then you're healing in that highest perspective, where you're letting go of all that was, releasing it all, no longer carrying any baggage, no judgment, nothing. Letting it all go. Because what happens is that Source transmutes it right away into new vibratory fields of light. And it's gone, and it becomes a distant memory, if a memory at all. We will eventually not remember them, because of our now space will take up so much of our joy and our ecstasy. But they're staying with me just long enough so that I can explain what occurs in the healing process. And there is a system and a process for it, because it's always the infinity of releasing, harmonizing, letting go, releasing, harmonizing, letting go. When we're working with others, the planet, the collective, anybody that we deal with, we're harmonizing who we are at that moment. And why? To keep those thought forms and the crown chakra and the fields clear and cleansed. So you're emitting and you're vibrating, you're choosing to be your highest vibration to set the field for all others. And of course, obviously, in a perfect world, 24/7, that's what we will be like. Because we're going through so much collective healing and so much healing within one another's soul plans, that to take that responsibility off, it's not up to you to dispute anybody else's soul planet, but for you to take responsibility for your fields, your consciousness, your attitudes, your thoughts, and allow it to be as high as and joyful and loving as you can. And release the expectation of what anybody else's soul planet is to look like or feel like, because it's not our job to do that. That's between them and Source. We can also, as well, 24/7 be inspiring, empowering, encouraging. That's how we set the vibration for our home. As your body is 5D, becoming 5D, so is your home. And you can choose to create those consciousness energies in your home. And we'll create videos on that as well. I've noticed a difference. I really do notice a difference, especially when we're going through big clearings, because as the children go through their releasing their densities, those energies are in the home until you clear it. And so it's important. I'm doing it once a day. I'm just clearing the home, and I'm walking with intention. And I like, there's this home, there's this space. or I sing sacred sound and sacred tones, clearing also their fields as well. And so those are just some tips that allow you to feel, wow, this feels better. And you can feel the difference. It doesn't feel as if it's a continual depressive state, as I've experienced those, where it doesn't, there's so much density and there's so much clearing within it all. And your household, whoever you're threaded with, or if you're an empath or a crystal, then you can feel what's going on in the collective. If it's not being attuned, what's that word called? Attended to. If it's not being attended to and you're not wanting to tackle it because it might seem overwhelming and you don't know what to do or insecure about it, I get it. I've been there. This is why I'm creating the resources that I am, because it really, really does help to have that process. Every morning, I put our little self-care checklist up on our Facebook. And if you want to download it, then just put it on your fridge or within your journal, you read it every day, and you're just getting that process down, because it really makes a difference. You have that, like, wow, I feel my body just feels amazing. You can feel the light. So those energies of what we're healing, they're very real. The emotions and the pain and the experiences we're all moving through, it's very real. So I'm getting back to my story here. And so I signed on to one of my social platforms, and I had seen a posting from somebody that had posted something about the virus. And it was a very touching story. And that was that trigger. That was the trigger that had triggered that healing, because I could feel for a couple of days these angers and frustrations and these energies about the destruction and the pain, and those are very uncomfortable energies. And they're connected with timelines that were not resolved, obviously, because they were, ended in trauma and unresolved, which we're going to go into in a second, but I'm going to talk about the unresolved energies and why it's so important that we're going through what we're going through. And so that trigger allowed me to bring up all of those energies that really needed to be cleared from a timeline that was really, really big, and it kept holding me down in those repressed energies. Some of them were from this lifetime, but most of them were absolutely from other two. I felt two timelines that I had cleared that were really, really big. And so when we're going through these energies and we're doing the daily self-care and the daily reflection work and the dream work and all that is included in self-care, you can begin to feel the difference in your cells, and you feel that light, because this is the bonus and the benefit and why we're doing what we're doing, is to be that unconditional loving being, heavenly agent. That heavenly agent is oscillating cell by cell, atom by atom, at a higher frequency of love and light. So as we call the love and light in to heal the wounds, to heal, our bodies are automatically being transitioned cell by cell, and why all that we are is being shifted and transformed, and why our sleep patterns are different. I mean, everything. It affects everything. I'm just giving it to you in a synopsis of the 3 books that I've written. And so this is what essentially is happening cell by cell. Everything that we are multidimensionally is being shifted into higher oscillating light, a faster oscillating frequency at the chakra level, everything. Accessing new skills, new gifts. When these clearings occur, that's what occurs, is you then get the DNA activations, you then get the gifts and the downloads, and you get that higher communication level with all of the teams in your soul. The Mother, Father, and Source Creator. So there's a whole, why that's what has been called, that we've written about, is my interpretation of and my understanding of the majesties of the heavens. Because as you walk this path of your true authentic self as being divinehood, expressing yourself as Christic creativity, expressing yourself as the being that you are by honoring your feelings, honoring your emotions, honoring your body, honoring your light, that's your authenticity, that's your specific unique truth. As you do so, all of the heavens and the majesties open up to you in your own unique way, in your own unique platform, based on your soul and your movement of your soul's journey with Source, with creation, with your human family, with all that is. And to do so in an alignment that is pure with integrity, that is pure with realignment of moving in the highest benevolence that serves the greater good. And that is the challenge that many will be moving through, because there hasn't been the widespread systems to guide them in this. And this is why I brought up the subtle energies today, because we can move through this healing with process, with an easy process, with ways that allow the highest level of integrity for the soul, to heal the soul at the soul level. And this is why we've talked about before, is that the judgments and the attitudes that we carry co-create, and why that in every moment that we honor our experiences, every moment is a miracle, every moment is to be loved, every lifetime is to be loved. the more that we move into those energies, listen, here's a miracle, I get it, I get it, I get it, then we're absolutely shifting all that was. And sometimes what I've heard through my teams and stuff is that when we do this in every moment, then we sometimes automatically heal and clear some of the stuff we come to feel without going through those densities and traumas. That's how powerful love is, and being in the moment of compassion, being in the moment of honoring all experiences and not judging them or demeaning them or degrading them. It's all source. And so we always come back to that. Every moment is to be done with integrity as best as possible, because oftentimes these emotions will be so, but there's processes that we can honor and really claim that mastery, so that we're moving through it in the highest of benevolence, so that the energies that are being created in those experiences of expression and release can be done so that it's gone back to the highest and the greatest good, and it's done with honor of all that you are and all that is, because everything affects everything. And so this is why we're putting out the teaching materials that we're doing videos on it constantly, because it is an easy process. Self-care is super important to the health of all that we are. Every cell, every organ, mental, emotional, physical, etheric, and all the higher bodies and the higher energy systems, they rely on us to be the masters of our self-care. Lots of hydration, lots of grounding and playing with Gaia, lots of laughter and joy, refocusing and redirecting those energies into something that will serve you and serve the all, because your joy and your laughter affects the all, it ripples out. So does everything else too, and this is why we're all experiencing what we're experiencing in a myriad of ways, not just narrowing it down to that one thing, but there's many things that are going on right now. But this is the portal that we're in to truly make a difference, to truly, all light workers have opportunity right now to spend 5 and 10 minutes, 2 or 3 times a day, and just send light and love and compassion and joy and unconditional happiness, all of these beautiful loving energies to all of the systems that are kind of on shutdown right now, and just send our light and send it to the collective that needs healing, send the miracles of healing to those that require it, send it to the grids, send compassion and love to the grids, because that'll be fanned out and distributed to those that need it. There's many elegant systems of energy that we don't even have ideas of, that we will in the future. But those of us that are light workers, we've worked on the grids, we understand that 5 to 10 minutes a day does tremendous good. And to allow yourself to take note of, okay, what does my body feel like? And maybe take a couple of journals a couple of times a day. How does my body feel right now after I eat that? I'm going to get up and do some dancing and move around. I'm going to just let go of it no longer serves and just shake it all out. Oh, just shake out and just call in that higher light, call in your power, call in your codes, stand in your power. This is my power, this is my light, and I'm going to create here now. And you can feel the difference, lightening your whole body up and saying, I'm a co-creator, I'm a master, this is what I'm co-creating with this. And you state that, I co-create a miracle now, I co-create magical healing for everyone, I co-create beautiful compassion to the grids. I envision myself as fully healed. I envision myself as whatever it is that you're excited to see, and really put those into all that you are, and put it into this now moment. And that's what co-creates. Honoring all that we're moving through in the ways that it can be honored, and truly bringing our entire collective up to new levels. Because we will all have to move through these experiences. But there's beautiful and honoring ways that we can do it, so that those soul fragments come in to be healed and reunited and reunified with us. It's, and I don't know how, they haven't shown me, because usually I get things sensory and visions. But if we're not honoring that experience, then it's not a fully engaged, unconditional love of you. And then there'll be other experiences that you'll co-create that for yourself, because the soul's desire, the soul's plan, the soul's ache is for you to expand and grow through unconditional love. The more that we do that, start there, begin there. Release the judgments of self and all others. Don't put any expectations on how fast you think you're supposed to move through anything. Just know that we're taking on so much, and to realign in all moments that we can. And the ways that have really helped me, because I'm empath and highly sensitive energies, is to work with my body in the ways of the movements that I found to really increase my body's vibration, and to really realign and redirect into new timelines that serve, new timelines that are really directional with love, that are really directional with the allow of source to live through me, quite unconditionally, and quite, so like flowing with the universe. And we all know that those of us that are metaphysicians and esoteric teachers and masters, the idea of flow and allowing that divine feminine receptivity to become our reality is part of our reawakening 5D. And so it's just realigning the bodies, is healing the bodies, the mental bodies, and allowing yourself to feel and know what you're feeling and knowing. And to know that, you know, it's quite instantly you can feel like this. And that's how quickly we can move through these healings. You don't have to sit within those, you know, depressive states, which I've sat in, you know, and because we're all affecting the all, you know, and, you know, we're here to help each other and we're here to heal each other. And so I'm offering all that I can and all that I've been through to assist. So thank you so much for joining us today in this beautiful experience of how we can heal our bodies, and lots of fun. Stay tuned for our sign on to our Facebook and grab that daily self-care. You see all the energies and the angels working with us here. We're going to put out the videos for healing. It's really, really important. I found it such an incredible, I don't know what I would do without the movements and the energies and the sounds that I've been able to remember from my timelines. And it's been my mainstay for healing, and keeping my house as high vibrational as possible. And so we'll put out some videos on that. So stay tuned. And we also have all of our, we've got 2 YouTube channels, Heavenly Radiance and Universal Love Light. And some of it's Shamanic Tarot and Esoteric Wisdoms, and some of it's the Crystalline Family Ascension Wisdoms. Depending on what downloads I'm getting, what channels I'm getting from the heavens and my teams and my shamans. There's many videos on both channels that are affirmations, sacred sound and tone, which are Christed in intention, which means that we offer the Holy Spirit, Mother, Father, the Christed vibrations that are within our water bodies, our DNA, and our chakra systems that benefit and help the field. And I've put the titles on what each are intending. This morning I did one, which I'll be putting out probably tomorrow, is for love and compassion and miracles for the collective. So healing, anything that needs healing. And so that will be coming out tomorrow. So just check back on our videos from the past, because you can put them on a loop in your house and just clear the fields and set your own intentions. I intend this audio to clear and cleanse my walls and my space, whatever it is your intention is. And that's how we begin building that 5D reality. It's in everything, not just waiting for something to happen. We are co-creating it. Through all of our united intentions of miraculous healing for humanity, see humanity healed. Use your light and your intentions of living compassionately as those vessels and vestibules that co-create matter and spirit. It's a miracle, truly. So thank you, and we will offer our wisdoms tomorrow. Bye, namaste.